So I was
Hey,
actually directed here by some folks at the Monroe Institute. This is really the first time I've heard of you. Um,
interesting.
the last 6 months of my life I can really only describe as torturous. In talking to a medicine woman that is local to me, she says that I have a Kundalini awakening that was brought on by a very high dose of psilocybin cubensis that I took when I was about 17. I'm currently 18. Um, I'm just looking for people who understand and maybe even some guidance. At times, I feel as though I'm experiencing eternity, as ridiculous as that sounds. Um, it feels as though I have one foot in this world and one foot in another. And I don't know how I'm going to be able to live this life if I can't live in this life, if that makes any sense. I'm wondering if this is something that's going to calm down as time goes on and I'm kind of going to learn how to control it.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Welcome, Aiden. Thank you for joining us here and sharing. You're not alone. Um, I've had many experiences with psilocybin, and in fact, my own Kundalini awakening. Um, a major event during my process took place at age 23 on a psilocybin. And so I understand the intensity that that can bring about. Um, I understand what you mean by saying, like, how are you going to live this life? You mentioned the theme of control. Um, okay, so it seems like it took place for you recently, within a year or so ago, which is pretty recent. And so giving yourself an outlook of your spiritual journey for the rest of your life. Now, that doesn't mean the rest of your life is going to be this really difficult, challenging, um, you know, journey, but just sort of zooming out, and rather than feeling like, we got to sort this out tomorrow, just acknowledging the journey is going to be, a lengthy journey, which is good. You have time, is what I really mean to say. You have time. So when we have these major awakening experiences, especially if it's combined with psychedelics, it can really amp up a lot of energetic phenomena in our system. It can really expand our consciousness to eternity, right? To eternity, and you're feeling that. And so our work now is not to try to continue to expand the consciousness, or try and awaken further. You can look at the work now as to embody the awakening that's already happened to you, to embody eternity within this human system, this flesh human system. And so that, in essence, means, how can we get our nervous system to hold these expanded states of consciousness while simultaneously being in the world and as a human being, rather than just saying, I'm a spiritual being, or I'm just pure spirit, or pure consciousness, or source energy? How can we be here in this body? And so that takes work, it takes time. And so, generally speaking, the work of embodiment involves feeling whatever comes up in the system emotionally. If we haven't had much uh, education or upbringing around emotional intelligence, this can be a great time for you to begin exploring what are these feelings that you may have in your body, labeling them, noticing them, discerning them from one another, because that's all taking place in the body. That will help you to stay in this body. It will also just be an invaluable skill moving forward, um, invaluable skill to have emotional intelligence. Um, Taking care of the body through general self-care, which just means very safe, gentle things like gentle exercise, walking in nature, eating well, staying hydrated, socializing with people, just, not even necessarily talking about far out spiritual stuff, though that's, it's fun, but also just remembering, like, we're not here just to talk about those things. We're here to relate with people, of all types, at all points of the journey. So really getting in the body and really working to be human, knowing that becoming a fully embodied human doesn't mean you're going to lose out on anything that you've realized or awakened to. You're not going to lose that. You're actually going to integrate it into your life in a practical way where it actually means something. It actually has an impact on your life, and how things go for you, and what are going to do in this life. Um, it all comes down to the body, in essence, here. really honoring any inclination towards sleep as well. Very important. After having a big awakening like that, the body just had like, massive surges of energy moving through it. And so this can take a toll. It can bring about fatigue. It can bring about the need to rest. So just honoring the impulse to rest, gentle movement, gentle yoga. Maybe it's yin yoga, things like this, hugging trees. Um, and avoiding any intense breath work. It's not necessary. Avoiding any intense meditations, to awaken the third eye, not necessary. As well, avoiding, generally speaking, further psychedelics until you feel like the stuff that you've realized on this recent trip has been integrated. I like to think about it, psychedelics is kind of like, they give us homework. And if we don't finish the homework, we shouldn't go back and ask for more. And so that's one way that you can consider how to approach psychedelics in the future as well. Yeah. How does that sound for you, Aiden?
It sounds good, sir. I mean, it's something I'm still kind of coming to terms with. I've never had to deal with anything like this. I just want to know that I can live life as a human completely in this world without always constantly being somewhere else at the same time. If that
Mhm.
makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. You can. That is the work. That is the journey. That is the journey. Um, you won't go back to being the same. That ship has sailed. That's done. You'll be different. You'll ideally be centered in the heart, where, like Christ said, to be in the world but not of the world, simultaneously everywhere and nowhere, simultaneously in the body and in also a non-local place. But you've awakened to this part that is not of the world. You've awakened to this part that is non-local, that is outside the body, the spiritual nature, and this is great. Now it's just finding ways to get back in the body and finding the balance between the two. And that's what being awakened as a human being is. That is the journey, and it is totally worth it. Totally worth it. Right now, it may feel uncomfortable and uncertain, but to live in this state is it's remarkable. It really is. So thank you. Go ahead, Aiden.
Pardon?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Maybe I didn't articulate myself properly there. I just I know I'm never going to be the same. You know, I'm hoping that I'm hoping that I can live a quality of life that is better than what I even had before this, and that I just it's very scary ordeal. I've always heard of Kundalini awakening being this very pleasurable experience. That mine has been torturous. I just want to know that the rest of my life isn't going to be spent in fear and terror, and that I can enjoy, you know, worldly pleasures or just be able to relax like
Yeah.
I used to, like I
Yeah,
used to be.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So if there are others here that can relate, that have come to a point where they feel stable, peaceful, and can enjoy life, please just share a little bit with Aiden. I can share with you after also having gone through a significant, awakening on mushrooms that was, put me into like a very, very dark place following that experience. But life just keeps getting better and better in really meaningful ways. Really meaningful ways. It's gonna be okay. It takes some time, and like we were sharing earlier, whatever you're feeling, you're healing. So whatever's coming up is coming up to be released, so that it no longer burdens you. It no longer is something you need to carry around and have it influence you. It takes some time, but this is the purification, and this is the process in time. You will come to a point of stability for sure. For sure.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, you're welcome.